Can you reveal to those watching who you think's going to win this fight on Saturday night?
Unfortunately, I think Dubois is going to win this. Reason being is because, and it's not a disrespect to Usyk. A lot of people are like, he's 38, so he's not slowing down. He's not becoming less of a boxer. I think he is one of the greatest boxers of our generation. Problem is when somebody is that good at boxing, you don't box him. And I think that everybody has sat back and tried to box him. And I think the answer is what Chisora did in the beginning. He went out there and he fought him. And I think Dubois, that is kind of his game plan. Obviously, we've watched a lot of footage on him. He's coming forward. He's coming a lot harder than he used to come. And that's the answer to Usyk. You know what I'm saying? With all due respect, I love Usyk as a person, as a boxer. I think he's amazing. But my prediction, I think Dubois is gonna take it this weekend.
So if that happens, if Usyk does lose, would you strongly recommend him to retire now? Because it's different. He's been to the mountaintop. He's tasted undisputed title glory. When you pair that with someone who's young, hungry, never tasted that, there's that different level of hunger, isn't there?
It's so funny. Deontay, a lot of people are like, he's done, he's finished. I hear so many things about people like how his boxing is. I'm like, when you are 40-0 with 40 knockouts, how could you say he's not good at boxing? They're like, well, he's only got one thing. I'm like, well, if that one thing is so freaking good. Joe, when I met Joe, they were like, he should be done, he should be retired. Boxing's a lot different than MMA. I grew up in the MMA community. You can have 7, 8, 9 losses, and it's like you can come right back. With boxing, you lose one time, and people are like, hang up the gloves. I don't think Usyk has a lack of drive, desire. I don't think he's slowing down at all. I just think that this matchup is correct with Dubois. If he decides to retire, dude, he's accomplished anything and everything that a boxer can. If you ask me, do I think he should retire because he's slowing down or becoming less than? Absolutely not.
No. You still feel like, despite a loss, he'd be right back in the mix anyway?
Yeah, I think I will tell you that O changes people. Because, like if you've never lost before, there's this level of like you're a superhero. And it's like, yeah, fighters all have to have a sense of cockiness. You do. To be a fighter, to do, what you do. And the first time you'll see somebody like Usyk, who has never lost, well, obviously in amateurs, but in this level, it makes you reevaluate. And like me and Joe talk about this all the time. Worst thing, he lost to Joe Joyce. But if he wouldn't have lost to Joe Joyce, he wouldn't have searched. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm not doing something right. And we got connected. And if that fight wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now. And I think that gave him a desire, like, you know what? I'm never going to let that happen again. And you kind of see the trajectory that he's on right now.
Well, you see a lot of the greats in the MMA world. No one comes out of that sport unscathed unless you're Jon Jones, but he's the only one. When you look at Merab.
Khabib, too.
Yeah, Khabib as well. Khabib probably retired a little bit too early, though. I think at some point he probably would have met his match. But when you look at Merab, Islam Makhachev, all those guys, even Conor early on, he'd lost. And it changes, like you said, the way that you approach fighting. You know that you're human, but you address those potential, whether you call them weaknesses, but things you need to work on that otherwise you wouldn't have worked on, would you, if you were just winning all the time?
Yeah, and I've been in the game long enough that some people, they overthink things. It's like you've been a champion for so long. Sometimes you just get caught. Yeah. But the problem is they get caught and they're like, I got to change my coaches. I got to change. I'm like, you've been world champion for so long. Everything is going good.
Minor things.
Yeah, just got caught. We just fixed that one thing. And then some people, they overdo everything. I think Joe, we started working together. I did tell him, I was like, you're going to take over this sport because he didn't have anything that you need physically. Mobility, strength, and like none. And I was like, how in the hell did you become a world champion? I was like, if you became a world champion with this level, I'm like, once we work on the base, dude, nobody's going to stop you. But yeah, a long-winded answer, but.
Well, you believe as well. You obviously believe Joe is going to become undisputed world champion, but in your eyes, the team eyes, that's inevitable. That's not enough. You want to become the longest reigning undisputed world champion.
Yes.
And you see everyone in the division as, I don't want to say guaranteed wins, but you know with the work you're putting in, you're capable of beating anyone around you right now, including Usyk, Dubois. Dubois was a fighter you was going to compete against in February. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but you're prepared for all of these guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, yes. patience is the biggest thing. And it's like, you look at people like Usyk. One thing I love about looking at their career, Usyk was in the position that we were in right now. He had to be patient. And then, I don't know if people remember the Tyson came out, it was like 80-20 split. And Usyk sat with, and he took it. And then the fight still didn't happen. And I'm like, we're like, it's right there. Then I'm like, this has happened before, but look at Usyk now. He's he cashed in his cards. He's running the game. He's deciding his own stuff. And with Joe, it's like, this is what we want. I will tell you that a lot of people, they have basic goals. Like when I said I believed in Joe, like Joe, I think at first I was like, we're going to take over this game. Like I believed in Joe enough for the both of us. Now Joe believes in Joe, which makes him extremely dangerous. And I was like, when I said you're gonna take over, like I didn't say like become a world champion, which is an amazing feat in itself. But I'm like, I want to defend that undisputed more times than anybody in history. And I think Mike Tyson has the record was like 5, so we have to do it 6 times. Which is it's a huge goal, but that just shows the faith that you have in somebody, and I think that's something you need in a team.
100%. And when you talk about patience, obviously Tyson Fury stated his interest in coming back into the mix. Close friend of yours, close friend of Joseph Parker and the whole team. So I'd imagine he goes and faces the winner. Then you've got a potential fight. For me, I believe AJ, Anthony Joshua, would be the right move. Stay active, stay busy, massive name on your resume. A guy that probably isn't near Joseph's level right now, but he's been at the mountaintop. It's a great scalp on the record, chance for redemption as well. Obviously, if he doesn't take the Jake Paul fight, Anthony Joshua, because that's all the talk as of last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when I started working with Joe, it's like, what is your goal? And when you have a specific, and most people don't, it's like, I want to be a world champion. Every boxer, it's like, that's the most generic goal. It's like, do you want to be IBF? And we had literally came up with the goal of becoming an IBF world champion. And we were right there before the Dubois fight. But some people, it's money. Some people, it's legacy. And it's like, Anthony Joshua has accomplished so much, and it's like, are you looking for are you looking for redemption? Are you looking to come back? Because fighting Jake Paul doesn't do anything. Are you after money? There's nothing wrong if that's your goal. You know what I'm saying? But I feel that he, and this it's easy coming from me, because if somebody offered me millions and millions of dollars to fight a YouTuber, I'd probably be like, I'll take that. You know what I mean? Because I think that'd be a super easy fight for him. But for redemption, I don't think that's the way back. You know what I mean? Him and Tyson. It should happen. That'll be, the publicity. It's just like, and both of them are curious. And I will tell you, like, how you put it, when your identity and everything is on the line like that, who wouldn't be scared? Like, what if I lose to Anthony Joshua? Or Anthony Joshua, like, what if I lose to Tyson? You know what I'm saying? Right now, it's this guess and this big fantasy, like, it's going to be this huge fight. But there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. And that's a hard one to take. And I'd want to be on the top of my game, hungry, and I do feel like Joshua's kind of lost some of that hunger. Everybody says they love fighting, but it's actually you love winning. You know what I'm saying? It's when you lose and you still keep going. Joe is like a warrior. Joe lost. He loves fighting. You know what I'm saying? Joshua, I think, loves winning. That's just my opinion, but yeah. No.
What do you make of him in terms of his credibility in the game if he does take that Jake Paul fight? Like you said, it's hard not to take it for money, for setting yourself up for life, life-changing money. Turki Al-Sheikh is getting involved, so you're going to get that big bag as well. But spoke to Joseph yesterday, and he was like, he would, even for any amount of money, he would not take it because he's tunnel-visioned on undisputed glory. And if you go and take that fight, that's not the right path to go and achieve that, is it?
Yeah, when I say, like, when you have a belief in something, your actions respond to that belief. If you really think, like, I am the best in the world, and then you have a guy like Jake Paul come in, you're like, not even going to be bothered with that. You know what I'm saying? It follows his belief. We're on a mission, and everything that he does, every action that he shows that. I do think that the action that AJ is taking right now kind of shows his belief right now. Like, it's like, is he going to lose to Jake Paul? No. Is it something that gets him paid, stuff like that, gets him back in the limelight, stuff like that? But it's not going to get him back to where I think he really wants to be, where people are like, he's a GOAT. He's one of the GOATs, you know what I mean?
100%. Last couple now. Jon Jones, a guy you worked with for a long time, he's thrown himself back in the mix straight after retirement because Donald Trump has seemingly confirmed alongside Dana White plans to host a UFC event on the grounds of the White House. That's one of the maddest things I've ever heard. It'll be the biggest event in MMA history, one of the biggest events in combat sports history. What do you make of him getting back into the mix? He needed something to fuel that fire. That is something that fuels the fire. Him versus Tom Aspinall in front of the White House.
Think about Jon. Like, we've known each other for a long time. He doesn't need any fuel. Like, there's some people that are just born with greatness. I've seen him since day one. Like, I was an MMA fighter for years, and it's like to use a technique in a fight, you have to train it a million times. Jon will think of something during the fight and be like, boom, and we can execute. He just got that mentality. It's funny because Tom Aspinall is real good friends with Tyson. They actually box together, stuff like that. And I remember when I was working with Tyson was like, what do you think about this guy? And I was watching him, like, man, the guy is really good, and here we are. And I'm like, who would have ever guessed? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, Jon is scared of Tom. Like, Jon is the greatest fighter that's ever. Like, I've been with so many fighters. I've seen it. He just has this. It's a gift. It's a God-given gift. He's super intelligent guy. He's like he is a. He studies his craft a lot. I think if he fought Tom, I think he would smoke him.
You think he would smoke him?
Oh yeah.
You think he'd finish it?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind. And that's no disrespect to Tom. Like, the sad thing is people don't realize like how long Jon has been in this game. Like, when I first got into he was one of my first clients. That was so long ago. And it's funny because we all talk. Like, Ari Hawani was this guy just walking around in jean pants doing regular interviews, stuff like that. And now you see where he's at, see where Jon's at. And it's like he's still in the game. So many people have came in the game, left the game, but he's still dominating the game. And he's, people thinking that he's scared. The sad thing is, and I've told this to Tyson, there's always going to be one more fight. He beats Tom, then they're going to be like, well, you weren't the greatest because there's going to be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? He's already the greatest. He's beaten everybody under the sun. Not only once, twice. He's came back and they went in a different weight class, did it again. Like, what more do you need the man to do?